Hello, as you can see, today for review I've got a really hyped model. It's Shuoer, well, how it should be pronounced, Shuoer, well, probably Shuoer or something like that, Shuoer Tape. Of course, I'm late to the party with this review, and almost all reviewers did reviews a few months ago, but anyway, it's a really great model and I've got them only recently, so maybe you just want to hear this about this in-ear monitors yet another time, or maybe just you want the heavy Slavic accent version of the review, who knows. Anyway, welcome, and today we will talk about Shuoer Tape. And it's a really unusual hybrid in-ear monitors because they are using dynamic driver and low voltage electrostatic or electret driver. So it promised to be unusual. Of course, electrostatic drivers are one of the most trendy things, but usually you can match them in models with price about $500 and more, while this Shuoer Tape costs only $130. I will put links to the description, and at the same time, what is also good, it features pretty good specifications. It's just 18 ohms of impedance and 104 decibels of sensitivity, so you can drive them with almost any source. So doesn't it sound promising? Let's have a closer look. Box, or more precisely tube, looks pretty stylish. If I haven't seen VSonic packages before, I'd call this package innovation, but we've seen that a few times ago, so I just can say that it looks pretty stylish and cool. It opens this way, and inside you will have in-ear monitors themselves. So most probably package is made on the same plant as VSonic ones. So here they are. And another crazy good stuff is this case for holding. So it looks really attractive, and they even put arrows showing how to open it. So you unscrew it. Nice color, actually, it's kind of noble green. And inside you will have two sets of tips, actually even more than two sets if I remember right. So double flange tips, single flange silicone tips. As you can see, good set of tips, stock cable, and stock cable is balanced one, and you will have an adapter. Really useful thing, so you can use it with this cable or you can use it with some other balanced cables if you like. So let's put everything aside. In terms of design and build quality, they are also pretty nice. So as you can understand by the name, tape design idea was taken from the old magnetic tape cassettes, and they definitely implement this in style. They are made of metal and show really good quality of build. Everything is done really nicely. It reminds a little bit Campfire audio models, but at the same time it's not an attempt to copy the Campfire design, because they definitely have their own style. All these bevels and edges are implemented really nicely. Inner side is also done pretty good, so everything is smooth and rounded, so no sharp edges, and thanks to relatively small size, they fit in nicely into my ears. They have a nice extended spout, so they have a bit above average sound isolation. Spout has this lip for holding the tips, has protective grill, so everything in place. And actually spouts are a bit wider than stock tips, and so it's hard to put tips back, so I will probably take it offline, so it requires some additional work. So let's try to do it right now. You will need to push it to raise this outer part of tip and push the inner side with additional force. So Here they are. So at least you can be pretty sure that tip won't stay in your ear. Cable is made replaceable. Here used MMCX connectors. They have pretty good quality with pretty well defined click, so they're holding really nicely. We'll see how they will behave after some time, but I suppose they will serve really long. There is ear hook format, but no memory wire, just regular heat shrink ear hooks, but it reduces microphonic noise. Stock cable is also really nice. It's medium in terms of softness. It's not super hard and neither it is super soft. It's braided, sometimes a bit unevenly, but still pretty nicely, and it looks pretty audiophilic if it's important for someone. It's not getting hard when it's cold outside. Here is splitter with chin slider, and after splitter it goes braided down below to this 2.5mm jack. So nice metallic jack. If you need, you can plug it directly, or you can use this adapter. It depends on your preferences. This adapter, of course, it became pretty bulky, so I prefer DD Hi-Fi adapters with it. But anyway, if you don't want to spend additional money, you can use it. But just be careful, because such a big lever can sometimes damage a socket in your DAB. But I think you can be careful and avoid that. So, as you can see, in terms of packaging, in terms of accessories, design, build quality, cable, and all stuff that related to the presentation, to the outlook, to the design, Shuoer, or however they called, do a lot of work to give you the best possible value for this price. And about the sound, I gave them about 40 hours of burn-in, but unfortunately I didn't take any notes, so I'm not sure did the sound change or not, but after 40 hours sound didn't change, so probably if the burn-in is required, 40 hours will be enough. But you know, I probably think that there is no sense in bothering about that. Just start listening them and enjoy them. Don't spend any time for additional burn-in or some other black voodoo in this case. Sometimes burn-in really makes difference, but models that require long and extended burn-in are really rare. So let's have a player on the table to provide examples, and as you can probably guess by the players that I've used today, these in-ear monitors are really unusual. You know, there are a lot of different opinions about Shuoer Tape, and some people say that it's the best in-ear monitors ever, or the best in their price range, but there are also opinions that they are terrible and so on. But the truth is somewhere in between. I wanted to say the truth is out there, but it's somewhere in between, because it's not out there. And you know, they are V-shaped in terms of signature, but probably it's an audiophilic V-shape. And you know, this model is great in some circumstances, but it has its few drawbacks. But probably let me first describe the sound step by step. So bass is accented, it's pretty good, it has really nice resolution, not superb resolution of some high-end model, but really good for this price and for the dynamic driver. It's not as fast as balanced armatures, but still pretty fast for the dynamic driver, with good impact, with good punch, and it goes pretty low. It has nice texturing, good realistic attacks and decays, and a bit of, actually not a bit of, it has probably average accent, so you know, somewhere in between slightly accented and big huge bass accent, so it's somewhere in between. So you will have punchy bass, enough of sub bass, enough of tightness, impact, and so on. So really enjoyable low frequencies. Probably it's suiting a bit more to some synthesized electronic music, but with real acoustic instruments it's also pretty nicely sounded. And as an example for the low frequencies, I've got Caravan Palace. What could be better than a bit of electro swing? It's kind of swing, and at the same time it's electronic music with nice, enjoyable drums and bass line, really low going bass, but at the same time I think it's acoustic bass used here, or some kind of synthesized acoustic bass, but it's really sounding closer to the acoustic instrument, and big drum, and all that parts are represented really nicely. They dominating a little bit, but it's adding emotions and enjoyment to the sound of these in-ear monitors. Mid frequencies can be divided into two parts, as it often happened with V-shaped tuned in-ear monitors. Lower part of mids are staying a bit behind the bass and upper mids, but at the same time it has normal resolution, not superb, but at the same time it's not lacking resolution. It just shifted a bit towards the warmer side, but not too much, just slight hint of warmth. And mids are represented more in the macro style, so emotions are a bit highlighted and so on. It's not making a big focus on the micro detalization, but that doesn't mean that they are really forgiving, but they are really critical to the quality of the record, but because of upper mids. But let's talk about it in a few seconds. So, male vocals are nice, but sometimes they're just missing a tiny bit of clarity. You know, I am probably comparing them with much more expensive model now, because it's common problem for the mid segment, or actually it's not even mid segment, it's lower mid segment in-ear monitors, and they often have such problems, but you know, Shuoer Tape really worth comparing with something much more expensive, and a bit about that later. So what I said, emotional vocal, nice male vocal, but sometimes lacking a bit of clarity, and female vocals are superb because upper mids are raised, they have a noticeable peak there, and on the upper mids and lower treble they have noticeable bump, but at the same time, well, I will probably describe it when we'll talk about treble more. Okay, once again, train is passing behind my window. Treble is passing behind my window. What I'm saying, so upper mids are more resolving, they are crisp, clear, and they adding clarity, they adding more focus on the micro contrast. So you know, it's a bit of incoherence here because upper and lower mid sounding a bit different, but at the same time it won't be a big issue because you will be mostly focused on the lows and on the upper mids and treble. So you need to really do some critical analysis here to find this out. They have really good imaginary stage, noticeably above average both in width and in depth, so really spacious sounding and nicely tuned. And example for the mid frequencies. Here it is. I already featured this album, but I will do it many times more. It's echoes of Ellington Jazz Orchestra and Jazz Planet. So it's a reinterpretation of Holst Planets in the style of Duke Ellington Big Band, and it's a great, you know, work of art. Maybe, you know, it's not as strict as best jazz required, but at the same time it's really enjoyable, and it's really, you know, masterful stylization, because the performers managed to preserve both the spirit of Duke Ellington and spirit of Holst Planets. The Asteroids is pretty fast thing, it's sounding closer to the jazz, it's sounding like some jazz standard performed by big orchestra, and of course it requires good resolution and nice three-dimensional positioning, and you will have it with these in-ear monitors. And treble, probably the strongest side of this in-ear monitors. It has accent, at the same time it's not sibilant and it's not sounding sharp and fatiguing, but at the same time, if you are treble sensitive, probably it's not a model for you at all, because they're not trying to hide the treble. It has really good, almost insane resolution on the treble and really good extension. They're not trying to hide anything from treble. They have good attacks and decays, and they have really normal, not superb, but normal layering, and probably the cheapest in-ear monitors that could show it to you with the proper source, but still it's present. And the only thing that is probably lacking here a little bit, treble here is lacking a bit of weight, and that's why I think more expensive in-ear monitors with this electret driver uses 2 drivers per ear or 2 such electret drivers per ear to add more weight. So sometimes it's lacking a bit weight, but resolution, attacks and decays, realism is superb, and control is really good, but amount of treble is noticeable, and so avoid it if you are treble sensitive probably. But if you like good treble, it's definitely a model worth your attention. And because of that amount of treble, they will add crazy amount of overtones, lot of these tiny nuances typical for the audiophilic records, like let's name for example Jazz at the Pawn Shop. You will have all the nuances of that jazz club where that album was recorded, so it's a great experience. And as an example, I've got classical scene. It's Vivaldi 4 Seasons, it's autumn, it's violin, and it's a really well recorded violin, so it requires a lot of good treble, and these in-ear monitors will give it. So probably the best way to achieve the realistic violin in this price segment. In terms of pairing, they don't require something powerful, just average player will be okay, but it should control treble perfectly, especially treble and low frequencies too. Probably something natural or a bit on the warmer side, but not too much, so in order not to lose the pluses of this model. So something from the mid segment, maybe Ibasso DX160, at least to my taste, or something from upper segment, and even with Ultima 2000 they're sounding pretty good. So probably let me try to summarize strong parts and not so strong parts. Really good technical resolving treble, but if you treble phobic or treble sensitive, it's not a model for you because they're not trying to hide it. Really good punchy, weighty low frequencies, but a bit rolled off lower mids. Nice forward upper mids. In terms of genres and styles, they are pretty universal in case you like well recorded treble, and this genre or style will show it. Maybe they suiting more some audiophilic recordings, classical music, jazz or something like that, but I enjoy them pretty much with everything that is well recorded. Metal, classical rock, just name it. Speaking about comparisons, honestly, I don't see much sense in doing that because Shuoer Tape really stands out from many other in-ear monitors. They have probably the best treble in this price range and even a bit above, but at the same time they have noticeably bigger amount than usual, and they have tight bass, so you know it's not an in-ear monitor that can be compared with something other. So if you want great treble and if you're okay with quantity, it will be your obvious choice. And if you're not such a big fan of treble, you can get them as a second pair, because with some particular tracks or genres they can shine for you. For me they are pretty universal, so not much sense in comparing with other models in this range. And I don't know why, but sometimes on YouTube and in the other reviews I have seen comparisons with Teen Audio P1, but P1 is different. It has less bass, noticeably less, but at the same time it's less V-shaped because its bass and mids have more closer quantity, so they are more mid-forward and they have a bit less treble, but treble here is a bit better in terms of quality, but also it's bigger in terms of quantity. And P1 is better on the mids, and it's better if you like more natural and monitoring representation, and it's better with transients. So comparing with more expensive models like Kinera Nana or Shozi Pola 39, they are better, so they do about the same thing but on the better level, so it's also not comparable probably. Closest model that I can recall, it's probably IMR R1 Zenith. They also have nice accented treble with good attacks and decays, and also accented low frequencies, but Zenith is a bit more coherent and also it's tunable, so it's offering pretty same features that this in-ear monitors, but let's say on the better level, so it's pretty simple. So I need probably to summarize everything, and I can say that Shuoer Tape is definitely unique in-ear monitors. I can't recommend buy them blindly for everyone because you need to be sure about the treble, but I really like them and they will definitely stay in my collection for a really long time, or maybe until the moment when Shuoer will release some upgraded version of this with the same signature. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.